Hello and welcome to Drunk Girls Who Read, a podcast where two girls act like a book meant for 12-year-olds is the pinnacle of literature. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Hannah, and we're two 30-somethings combining hopefully intelligent literary criticism with drunken chaos.
We're currently reading The Hunger Games, and in today's episode we're reading the final chapters.
Very exciting. So grab a drink, crack open your book, and join us on this drunken, reminiscent journey.
Wrong.
No. And read... Oh, that was a great combination. So grab a drink, crack open your book, and read along with us. I mean, I guess technically, The Hunger Games is a drunken reminiscent journey.
Still not the line.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I tried a spice bag the other day.
Oh, what, like one of the Irish Chinese spice bags?
Yes.
Oh my god, fun.
Yes.
Was it like the real one or the one Weatherspoons are doing nowadays?
The real one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where did you?
Well, obviously not real. It was in England.
Where did you get it that did it?
A pub in Peckham. Yeah, and it was great because we'd been in the pub for many hours. Like one of those sessions where you start at like 2.
Nice.
And then had it for dinner, and it is the perfect drunk food.
I've never had it actually like from a chippy, which I need to try at some point, but I need to try it in Ireland. I'm sad I didn't try it when I was on Ireland last year.
You should have.
I know.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was really good. The pub that did it there was really nice as well. And yeah, just like really good drunk food. And then we were like sat at this table, which was next to this piano, and this guy comes up to us and he's like, "Oh, so sorry, in about like half an hour we're gonna do a set, like me on the piano. Do you mind terribly moving seats?" And we're like, "Of course, whatever, like that's fine." I was like, there was like another table like really nearby. I was like, "Is that table okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's fine." Went off to pee, came back. 3 minutes later, we had been moved to an entirely different table, still at the front, but I was a bit like, don't say that other table's okay. Because we checked, because I was like, maybe that won't be far enough away. He said it was, anyway, so we'd be mid. And the guy then immediately starts. I was like, you did say in half an hour, but fine. Anyway, it was like kind of smooth jazz, but like lyrical. It reminded me, so it was a guy on a saxophone and this guy on the piano singing.
Oh, saxophone, lovely.
Yeah, so it reminded me of, you know, in the animated 101 Dalmatians, and the guy is
Yes.
like singing and making up the songs. It reminded me of that. Like, it was
Okay.
really nice and relaxing. We were like, okay, because we've been planning on like going like the minute we finish our parts, because we were like, oh, we're here to chat. We're not here to like listen to music. So I think we were thinking, oh, maybe we'll stay. Like, he played a song and it was really nice. And then they start like playing another song, the second song, and there's like intro music. And I'm going to be paraphrasing the lyrics because I cannot remember them word for word. But he's like, "I love that you're 16. And we were like, hmm? And then start singing this song all about how much he loves that this girl is 16 and that she's underage. And then some of the lyrics were about like calling him daddy and stuff like that. Like, he just kept referring to him as daddy and talking about loving this girl that's 16 and calling her a schoolgirl. So then we left. We were like, what just happened?
You should have called the police.
The thing is, like, it was definitely like an old song from the 60s. However, the choice to sing that in the modern day.
I mean, one of the Beatles
Insane.
songs does open with, "She was just 17, if you know what I mean." Like,
Yeah.
that is the opening of
But
one of the
that's
most
at
famous
least, like,
Beatles songs.
A hit, so I would understand singing it now. But this was not a well-known song. So I'm like, the choice to sing a song about someone being 16 and calling yourself daddy in the lyrics, and the lyrics were like specifically about loving that she was 16. It's not like, I love a girl, she happens to be 16. It was like, I love that you are 16. Insane choice to sing that in the modern day. Like, you are presumably looking through like old songs to choose your set. Just don't choose the one about wanting to fuck a 16-year-old.
Hate that.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. The only story I have from the last week, I've been told, is incredibly boring but impressive that I can make it into a comedy story when it is in fact a very boring story.
Good. You know what? I love when people tell me boring stories. I think it's part of friendship, right? When someone tells you a story. But I also do love pointing it out. Tilly the other day, and I can't remember what she said, but Tilly at work, my work colleague, turned to me and told me a story that was honestly so boring. And I went, sorry, Tilly, That was so boring.
Yeah, so that's what's about to happen.
Yeah,
To
great.
all of you.
I'm sad.
Literally. So I was at the swimming pool, as I do. As I tend to do. And I did my set, and then I went for my little sauna afterwards because I'm trying to get brave enough to sit in the sauna for 5 minutes, even though there's men in there.
I love that you've turned Essex when talking about the sauna.
I was actually trying to do a Finnish accent, but don't worry about it.
You know what? Finnish, Essex. What's the difference, really?
Anyway, so I come out the sauna, grab all my stuff, rinse off in the shower, and then go to open my locker, look down at my locker key, and realise that I'm holding a locker key with nothing on it. It doesn't have the number printed on the locker key. It's rubbed off.
Oh no, what hijinks? Whatever will she do now? I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, exactly. Well, important piece of context that they might not know, but that you know, I can't see for shit. That's not like an exaggeration. I have like -5 in both eyes and cannot see. So I'm at first like, am I just not seeing this? And I'm holding it like right up to my eye. And I'm like, no, I definitely can't see this locker key. I'm putting and this is really lame, I wear prescription goggles in the pool. So I'm pulling my prescription goggles on and off to try to read the locker key. I know, it's really hot. I'm trying to read the locker numbers. And I'm like, right, okay. Did I check which locker I put myself in? No, obviously not, because the number's meant to be printed on the fucking locker key. And you would think, just remember where you put the stuff. But I go to that swimming pool twice a week. So all the times just merge together. So I just start trying every locker that I think could feasibly be my locker.
I'm not going to lie to you, Hannah. I would be like, that's no longer my stuff now. And I would have left.
In your
Yes.
swimming, wet,
Yes.
in a swimming costume, holding nothing but a towel and a pair of prescription goggles, even though your glasses are inside the locker.
Yeah.
You also don't have shoes.
Yeah, honestly, somehow in my
Or
brain,
a coat.
that feels like I mean, I don't wear a coat anyway, but that seems like a less socially awkward situation than the idea of opening lockers and someone walking in on me trying to open their locker.
Well, yes, quite. So obviously other people are trying to get in their lockers and witnessing me trying every locker. I try every locker and the key will only fit like in where I know it is in these two sections. The key will only fit in one of them but will not turn. So I'm like, okay, so on top of like the number going wrong, the lock is jammed. Random man walks out like past me and I stop him and I'm like, hey, can you just turn this key for me? Try to turn this key before I go get someone. Just to like, I don't want to go get someone. And then it turns really easily.
Please tell me it didn't snap.
No, it didn't snap. He can't turn it, but he then takes on this quite male ego of being like, oh, I must be able to do it. And like, it's like, give me a minute, and tries multiple times. And I'm like, look, it won't turn. It's fine. It's fine. I cannot go up to reception because, again, I am in a swimming costume and nothing else. So I have to go back onto poolside, speak to a lifeguard, to radio reception to bring someone down to try to help me with this scenario.
Okay, I'm going to make amends to my prior statement. I wouldn't have gone home. I would have drowned myself.
See, you're seeing why this boring story is actually like awful, terrible.
You know what this is? This is an episode of Miranda.
It truly is. So the person from reception comes down and he's like, so your locker key's not working. And I was like, you would think that's the only issue, wouldn't you? But in fact, I don't 100% know which locker I have because the number's rubbed off.
This person hated you.
Luckily, they were very understanding.
They weren't.
They were like...
Outwardly.
They were like, yeah, it's really bad. All the numbers have rubbed off, some of them. We need to get that fixed. We're aware of that issue. And I was like...
Then warn people.
And they were like, it keeps happening that people keep forgetting what locker they have. And I'm like, well, put the numbers back on the fucking locks, you idiots. The keys. Oh my God. So then he's like, well, which locker do you think it is? And I was like, look, I've tried 20 lockers. The key will only fit in this one. So he puts it in that one. He's like, yeah, it won't turn. It's jammed. Are you sure it's none of the others? And I was like, no, I've reiterated again that I am unsure. And he's like, it looks like it's got this number. Can you see that? And I was like, no, I'm not wearing my glasses. I cannot read what that number says. So he tries it in that one that he thinks the number is, doesn't turn. So he just then goes back to my tactic of trying every locker. And he's like, it is on the top row, right? And I'm like, no, could be on the middle row as well. He starts trying the middle row. Another locker opens. But bear in mind, so I now have my stuff. He's just like a bit exasperated, like, for fuck's sake. But also bear in mind, when both of us are trying multiple lockers, 4 people have come up to the bank of lockers to get their stuff. And 2 of them have gone, trying to steal stuff, are we? And I've just gone like, yeah, do you know what I love to do? Work out and then steal other people's shit. And then finally, yeah, a random locker opens. I get myself and just scurry off to the changing rooms in shame.
Wow.
In shame.
Yeah, you've got to change swimming pool.
Can't
Not
I
because of the keys, but because of the
there?
embarrassment.
I can't. I volunteer there, and they kind of know who
Stop
I am.
volunteering.
Oh, it was so bad. But I've been told that's an incredibly boring story.
It was a bit.
Technically, the story is just like girl can't get into locker.
Yeah, but yeah, like the thing is, it would be an episode of Miranda, and I think therefore it's okay.
It's a universally boring story. It can and will happen to all of us. You just don't want it to happen to you.
It is in the telling, because if you boil that story down, it is you went to the swimming pool, you forgot what locker yours was, and then you found the right locker.
Yeah. Dull story. It's kept me awake at night a few times though with embarrassment.
Honestly, as it should.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that.
Yeah.
That was horrific,
Yeah.
and I would have killed myself. I would have, the like ropes that they separate the lanes with.
Yes.
I would have wrapped that around my neck
Garroted
and
yourself.
in the pool. Yeah.
It was a temptation. At one point I did consider, should I just walk home in my swimming costume and nothing else?
Yeah.
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 And that's how I am. Should we talk about the Hunger Games? No. What are we drinking? It's the same thing as last week.
It's vodka lime soda. But what happened right before this episode that you wanted to... There was a comment?
Oh, yeah. Someone just made a comment while we were getting ready for this episode. So we've recorded 3 in a row. We were just like, Charlie was topping up her makeup. And a comment came through from, and I want to call you out, Harriet Jumper Jet Recruit. I don't know what that means. Harriet. Like, I don't know. And it was left on our episode, The Hunger Games, chapters 6 and 7. And it just says...
But my favourite thing about this is I was in the other room when she told me this, and she went, on episode chapters 6 and 7, and I went, oh no.
It just says 6, 7.
How is that even written?
No, it is just 6, 7, but I know they're doing
okay,
6,
they're
7.
doing-
But
okay.
you can do it with the emojis, like the shrugging hands. I've seen it done with that.
Okay. I still don't know what this means, and I don't want to.
No one does.
I don't want to.
No one does. It doesn't mean anything. This is the thing. It doesn't mean anything.
And what was the whole... Are you like group 6 or something?
I don't know that. I don't know what that is.
That's another one that the children are going on about.
Because 6, 7, a basketball player just said it. I think it was like someone's height, and they said it in a funny way. So I think it's just like how we say stupid stuff that was in Vines when we were growing up.
Merry Christmas!
Yeah, that. I still do that every year. Every year, Christmas morning, I've got one group chat where we all wake up and go, merk, merk. Like, you still do the Vine shit, so it's the same stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Let the kids have it.
I mean, I didn't want that context, but thank you. Just like how I didn't want to know how fantasy football works.
But Jumper Jet Recruit, how old are you to be leaving 6, 7 comments on our episodes?
Yeah. Probably too old.
Yeah. Hunger Games? The Hungry Games? The Hungry Caterpillar?
Yes.
Chapter 26. They spit out the berries.
Good.
God.
Spit, don't swallow.
And then Peter drags them over to the lake to wash their mouths out with water. Really surprised there's no effects from like a bit of berry juice being on their tongues and stuff, but
I mean, it's kind of an unrealistic poison if it kills them instantly. Like, do any poisons actually like literally it like passes down your throat, you know?
I don't know. I'm not an expert on poison.
I thought you were.
No. Well, it's clearly based on Deadly Nightshade, but I don't think
That's not. No, it's not.
kills you that quickly.
It doesn't.
That is one of my earliest memories, though, of Mum drilling into me to not touch the Deadly Nightshade in the garden.
Oh, my mum didn't bother.
Touch it.
She'd probably hoping, yeah.
Bake it in a pie.
Yeah. Yeah.
The hovercraft... I'll start that again. The hovercraft appears and they grab onto the ladder, although there's 2 ladders, but they grab onto one ladder, which like freezes them in place, but it doesn't stop Peter's bleeding, and Peter is now like bleeding out, and by the time they get into the hovercraft, Peter collapses. But a team of surgeons is there immediately to grab him, putting on an operating table and start operating. And Katniss just loses it. Katniss starts to panic and has to be dragged away and locked behind a door while screaming for Peter. Which I understand. That's like a lot of trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely trauma bonded.
Yeah. She describes that she's like put in another room, but it's glass. So she's watching what's happening to Peter. And some Capital woman hands her a glass of orange juice and she can't drink it because she's like, there's too much going on.
Yeah, I mean, that orange juice was definitely laced.
Oh, yeah. They were trying to like drug her more subtly than they end up doing. But she's watching Peeta and she gets this memory of when her mum and Prim were healing people. She would always run off to the woods and not understand the family members that stayed to watch their loved ones like being operated on. And she was always like, why don't they run off? And she says in her internal monologue, she finally understands the loved ones of the dying, that then they can't tear their eyes away from Peeta. And this broke my heart because like I read 26 and 27 back to back, and the book ends with this like Peeta realizing that Katniss doesn't love him in the same way, but it's on the page here that Katniss says in her own head she finally understands the loved ones of the dying. And it's this very frustrating thing of like, just because she might not love him romantically in the same way he loves her does not mean she does not love him. She loves him. Like, oh, I just find it really upsetting.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about it right at the end of like the difference between different types of love. So they land in the capital and she's drugged, unconscious. They knock her out. And she then wakes clean and pampered and strapped down in a bed. She checks like her hands and her scars are faded and her hair's all silky and her hearing is back in her ear. So clearly some time has passed. And the red-headed Avox brings her some food. And Katniss manages to ask the Avox, is Peeta alive? And the Avox nods, I think. I didn't actually write it down.
Yeah, she does. It's really interesting because Katniss remarks that like she had been eating actually quite well in the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And yet now suddenly once she wakes up, she struggles to get the tiny amount of food down.
Yeah.
And it's like her stomach has shrunk. So she thinks, how long have I been asleep? She thinks it must be a couple of days. There's normally a couple of days between like the like Victor like interviews, well, and the end of the Hunger Games. So we could assume it's been a few days. I'm like, does your stomach shrink that fast? Maybe it does. I don't know anything about it. But then we know that it must be at very least a few more days that she then is continuously knocked out and brought back up to eat. How long passes? Like, is it like a weirdly long time? Or yeah,
in my mind it's a week. I just read this chapter and just assumed a week.
Yeah, and I wonder if like, because that must be quite long. Like, I guess maybe like the capital people must be like, oh yeah, I guess like Peeta's really injured. Yeah.
And I presume that's what some of the length of time is, that Peeta's, it wasn't necessarily for Katniss's benefit.
Yeah, I think
Peeta's
it is about Peeta.
Injuries are so severe. I just find it fucking bizarre that for multiple days she is drugged and then woken back up with drugs and then knocked back out again. And it's kind of like, why? Like, it's to control everything about her, like the feeding and the healing of her. I do understand that. And to like make sure whilst Peeta's being healed, she's just not like running amok and doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
But like, it's unbelievably controlling that for multiple days in a row, she's just like knocked out and woken up, knocked out and woken up.
I think there's probably multiple things. I think they're probably working out what to do with her. Like, do we give her a chance or what? I think they're probably like, it's probably actually the like least cruel thing for her at this point versus like making her way around. It's probably giving her some like physical recuperation as well, like just letting her essentially sleep the entire time.
Yeah, because she's also like exhausted. Like even when she says she was sleeping well in the arena, it's probably not more than 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Her scars every time she wakes up are more and more faded, but she notices from the second time she wakes up onwards that red-headed Avox is never back, and that's the last we ever hear of her in this book. So that's left to our own imaginations that Avox got taken away or punished for confirming that Peeta was alive. So I don't know whether it was meant to be actually some reveal in like the final show that Peeta is alive. Like, I don't know what the Capitol were hoping for here. Also, at least one of the times she wakes up, she can hear a man yelling. And it's not a capital accent, it's a rougher accent of District 12. And she thinks in her head, someone's on my side.
It's Haymitch. I love him so much.
Although I had completely blocked from my memory why he's yelling. And when we find that out...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good lords. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, good lords.
There's probably multiple reasons. Like, probably the fact that they are keeping her unconscious is one of them. But also, yeah, there's another tidbit later on, which is...
Yeah. So... she wakes up and finally the strap's gone from around her waist and her wrists are free and she can move. And when she examines her skin, all the scars are gone, including all the scars she got from years of hunting. So like the Capitol has some crazy advanced medicine and like her nails are all clean and her hair's all shiny. She's able to leave the room And she's kind of like, oh, where am I going? Walks towards some voices, and she enters into kind of like a lounge area of where she's being kept. And it's Cinna, Effie, her prep team, and Haymitch. And to her own surprise, she sprints to Haymitch for a hug.
And he goes, nice job, sweetheart. Like, great line within the context of the original book. Like, so fucking good. Just like the nice job when you think about it in the context of him being like, essentially just like, don't die at the start. And then it's like, essentially, nice job not dying. And like, it's just so, and like the father figure of it all is so good. And then when you add Sunrise into the mix, it's fully like, oh, just stab me in the heart.
It's the way she says she surprised herself as
Yeah.
well. She thought she'd run to Cinna. I was just like, she doesn't even realize this bond that they've created, but also this need for Haymitch because he is the only other person that can understand how she feels in this situation. She's taken to her prep team. Sorry, the prep team weren't there. I lied. She's taken to her prep team who start getting her ready because tonight is going to be the thing where the tributes are presented, the victors are presented with crowns, and they watch this like highlight reel of the games. So the prep team start getting her ready, and the prep team are described as like chattering constantly but talking about the games from their perspective of watching it. And this is so well written because Katniss finds what they're saying so disgusting and alien, but the way they say it is the way all of us discuss reality TV. They talk about, and that happened just when I woke up and I had just left my eyebrow waxing appointment. And it's so clever because it is the way we all discuss like TV and even big events happening on TV. You put it in relation to yourself and where you were because you are the watcher. And it's just this huge disconnect between like Katniss being in the room and being the one to kill some of these people and them viewing it.
Yeah, and it's also the not just like a reality TV comparison, but also like more heavy stuff like people being like, you always remember where you were in 9/11.
Yeah.
Things like that where it's like, yeah, I guess that is kind of taking a tragedy and like centering yourself in it, I suppose. And yeah, I mean, it is really, it's crazy to think because we've been so wrapped up in Katniss's point of view. And while she does acknowledge the stuff about it being a TV show and she thinks about the production side of it, I think there's also like, now that you're out of it and you can start to think about it like literally from the viewer's point of view of thinking like all this was going on. She was fighting for her life, losing Rue, all of this, and then like the real world was happening at the same time. People were like doing their weekly shop.
Yeah.
There's probably TV screens in the supermarkets.
Yeah.
When, I don't know, when, you know, Katniss was going to the cornucopia to try and get the medicine for Peeta and someone's just like picking out bananas or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I think it is almost like human nature to center yourself with things. It just like feels really alien in this scenario because we've lived in Katniss's head for it. And it's meant to make us question why we have to center ourselves when talking about like anything. We find out who the yelling person was. It was Haymitch, and why he was yelling because Cinna gives Katniss the dress that she's going to wear. And it's got padding around the boobs. And Katniss at first is like, oh, it's because I've lost so much weight. And then it's like, no, wait, hold on. It's like making my boobs look bigger. And it's kind of like, And Cinna goes, yeah, that was a compromise. The game makers wanted to give you a boob job while you were knocked out. But Haymitch had to fight them and stop them. It was a big argument.
Crazy.
She's 16.
Yep.
But it is such a good setup for the fact that Katniss multiple times in this chapter thinks, I thought I'd be free. I thought I'd be safe. No. The capital own you. Snow owns you now. And not just owns your life, owns your body. Your like the rights to your body were being taken away and you only kept them because of Haymitch. It's just
crazy.
Cinna's dress and the way he has styled Katniss, her hair, her makeup, her nails, make her look younger than she is. She self-describes herself as looking 14.
Yeah, so instead of being fire like before, her dress shimmers like candlelight. Her hair is down and back in a simple band, and her face has been rounded by makeup. She looks like a young, innocent girl. Yeah. She's not really doing the maths. She's just like a bit confused. They get under the stage where they're going to be like basically risen up through the stage to do the reunion between her and Peeta. And Haymitch grabs her and hugs her, and she's thinking this hug's a bit tight and a bit long. That's a bit weird. And then Haymitch starts to whisper to her, and he warns her, this has got to be surely the worst place to warn her. Like, if there's going to be anywhere she's mic'd up, it would surely be when she's about to be on stage. But anyway, I guess he's got no other choice. But he warns her that the Capitol have basically viewed it as rebellion, and they don't like to be made fools of, and that her only defense can be that she was so madly in love. Katniss is like, all right, if you warned Peeta, and he's like, Peeta doesn't need warning, he's already there. And Katniss is like, but you think I'm not? Interesting. Like, that's so layered and can mean so many different things. It's very interesting. I think these last couple of chapters, I think, are really interesting. I think say these last 3 chapters, I think we go from Katniss being aware that she has feelings for him to almost like walking it back in her head, not losing the feelings. But I think we go from the chapter before this, she's fully like, I love him. This one, she's like, I have feelings for him.
She's more just like, I want to see him. Why can't I see him? Like, everything is overtaken by, I haven't seen him. Why can't I see him?
I think there's like an acknowledgement of feelings, but also almost like it becomes slightly more wish-washy, where she's like, and you think I'm not? It's not quite confirming. And then in the next one, she really, basically she's overthinking it, is what happens. Is she doesn't feel like she has control over the Peeta situation or over her life. She feels very like forced, and like there's like a pressure, and particularly like a time pressure, and she starts to feel like she has to know exactly how she feels right this second. And that makes her start to overthink things and doubt things, and basically be able to give an unclear answer, to the point where things are assumed that probably aren't accurate.
It's incredibly complicated, these 2 chapters, because even just the lines Peeta's already there can be interpreted, and Katniss doesn't even know what he means. Peeta's already there as in Peeta knows it's been viewed as an act of rebellion, therefore needs to act up for the cameras. Or Peeta's already there as in, you need to be so madly in love you're not responsible for your actions. It was really painful to read these chapters, because it also was somewhat not relatable in the sense it's like, I too have been pressured by a government to appear in love with someone. But because this is aimed at 12-year-olds, I think it's relatable in the sense like, it's like at school when you fancied someone and then people find out who you fancy, and then because everyone piles on, it's like, you fancy them, do you fancy them? It becomes like no longer having the ability to analyze your own feelings outside of the huge social pressure and like mocking and eyes and things like that. So it becomes just like almost shutting down of like, I'm done, I'm not gonna do it.
I had a really similar thought when I was reading it, actually, where I was thinking about like my old teenage guy best friend, who I never, like, I can see it now, I never had feelings for him, but everyone at the time, because we were best friends, were like, oh, you must have feelings for each other. And it made it so muddled in my brain where I couldn't tell if I did or I didn't. And we ended up dating, and I kept just repeatedly dumping him. Then we'd break up, and then I'd be like, maybe I do have feelings for him because everyone's saying that we do. And we just were so on and off because I just kept getting convinced by people that I did. And I think this is kind of what's going on there. Is she's like, she can't tell what's real because there is so much noise and so much pressure. And so she just... Partly, and we're skipping slightly into the next chapter, I don't think she does back off.
I don't think she does.
I think what she doesn't properly communicate is that she just needs time. And I think that Peeta gets very hurt, and he's just like, okay, well, I think he's hurt and embarrassed, and he feels like he's been used and made a fool of. So he's just like, all right, we'll leave it then. Because he's assuming that she's like just completely used him and none of it was real. And I mean, it's one of those, it's kind of the miscommunication trope, and I typically really hate miscommunication tropes. So we'll see how I feel about the opening of the next book. I can't remember, but I typically don't like that. But it's kind of that thing where it's like, all she needs to do is sit him down and go, there's something here, but I need time to work out what's real and what's not. And we need to slow down. And then he'd probably be like, cool. But that doesn't happen because they're both very traumatized and very in shock. So no wonder they're not effectively communicating.
But even that slowdown would not be able to be enacted in the full way that she would want it to, because the capital need them to upkeep the love story. So even if they were to try, I don't know, dating or being together, they would still have to perform in front of the cameras as this very lovey-dovey thing. So she never has an opportunity to unpack it all, and my god, it was difficult to read. So inside her own head, she thinks, I was supposed to be safe for the rest of my life, and this broke my heart because it's Haymitch that has to break the news to her that she's not safe and she has to perform. When then, because of Sunrise, we know that he knows this perfectly all too well, because his life was ruined by not performing properly post Hunger Games, or it being what he'd done in the Hunger Games being too much to be able to correct it with performance. So he is desperately trying to make it right this time. And
she thinks to herself that only she can work out how she feels about Peeta in private. I've made the hilarious typo here where I said she can only pork out. She can only pork out. But she specifically thinks about she needs to be like alone in the woods in 12s, and then maybe she can kind of get the headspace and clarity.
Very valid thought.
Yeah,
like,
really
absolutely.
valid. Maybe tell Peeta that. Maybe use your words.
Peeta, I have to go to the woods. You're not coming. I just have to go stand by a tree and think. But it's too late to think about any of that, because the platform starts rising up and we're into chapter 27, the final chapter. So she's thrown onto the stage in front of a cheering crowd.
Sorry, I'm no longer listening. My head is just assigning Taylor Swift songs to...
Yeah, no, absolutely fine. Should we do another secret Taylor Swift episode?
But we absolutely should. We did an episode of our other podcast where we said as many Taylor Swift song titles and like lyrics.
Someone DM'd us saying they were watching it back recently, and we said Father Figure like 2 years before Father Figure came out in that episode.
Clearly we predicted that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't acknowledge that is what we were doing, but we did. The entire episode just said as many as possible. But I am now thinking about like, you know, like, are we out of the woods?
Yeah.
And for some reason as well, like for Peter, I'm thinking like, you know, like he's still in the restaurant. Like,
yeah. Nyana's making edits as we speak.
Nyana, I already know, she is furiously typing.
The Great War was written about Katniss and Peeta. She's rising up on the stage. Just before she comes out on stage, she hears Haymitch getting his cheer, and Haymitch gets like a 5-minute cheer, which is like perversely nice that Haymitch is back in like the good grace of the capital and is like, it's like a full, in the eyes of the capital, redemption arc film of him going from this like bumbling idiot who never did anything after his games win to being the only victor to see through the first double winner. Like, there's a poetic justice to that if the system wasn't so disgusting.
Yeah, it's so interesting that every 12 victor has broken the rules and done rebellion.
Yeah.
And it's like, how much of this is because those are the ones we know about, or how commonplace is this?
Yeah.
Like, is it because 12 is like the most hard done by that's the case, or is it is it an actual like actually it's quite commonplace?
Write more, Suzanne,
please.
So she rises to the stage.
And there's a brilliant line. Maybe it's right at the end. Where are you? Okay. There was a brilliant line, sorry, at the end of the last chapter that I forgot to say, where she says that the most dangerous part of the Hunger Games is about to begin.
Love. So she rises on the stage, and Peeta has risen at the same time as her, and she says a line where I'm like, this is why this chapter is so difficult to read, because of course you're in love with him. She says Peeta has been like cleaned and scrubbed up the same way she has. So she calls him like handsome and beautiful. But she says the smile is the same whether caked in mud or in the capital. You love him.
Yeah.
That's an in love line. You don't... Pain.
It's so interesting as well, like debating how strong her feelings are. Because normally I'd be like, oh, it's a few weeks. Like that's at least a very shallow type of love. But then it's that argument about like the whole trauma bond thing. Yeah. And also the thing that people always say on Love Island, where they're like, oh, it's only been a few weeks, but you know, they defend it afterwards. They're always like, what you don't see is that you do spend 24/7 around them. and it's such an intense environment. And this is kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, they've only actually really known each other a few weeks in any kind of detail. But yeah, it's been very intense, very traumatic. And also they have spent a huge amount of time with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, she's cleaned his shit off his body.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the text, but we know it's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think Suzanne would enter my I don't think you understand time list with J.K. Rowling, but I would like to point out that they kiss for 10 minutes.
10 minutes. I genuinely, in terms of TV, I don't know what I would want to watch the least. 10 minutes of two teenagers making out, or 9 hours of someone being ripped to shreds by wolves.
Yeah, I know. But I'm also questioning, like, I do know teenagers can make out for 10 minutes. I was a teenager once, and I do know that can happen. But what? You're just standing there with the audience clapping. Haymitch is just next to you.
Yeah. The TV cameras are rolling.
Making out.
And it says 10 minutes, and then Caesar tries to interrupt. It's not Caesar tried to interrupt, but they kept going for 10 minutes. It's they made out, so as in the Capitol is happy to air that. 10 minutes of two inexperienced teenagers snogging, and then Caesar finally tries to interrupt.
It also made me question, and maybe this is just, maybe I need to try it. I haven't made out for probably more than like 5 minutes since I was a teenager, because I just think you just go to the next level. Like, or other things get involved. I don't think I've just solidly, I'm like, surely that's wrong. I'm trying to think about just making out, standing up fully clothed for 10 minutes, and whether I've done that recently.
I'm trying to think.
Because I was like, surely I have. And then I was like, I think I just
definitely not standing up. That's weird.
Literally, I'm like, okay, making out lying down. Yeah, I can see standing up.
I do love, I'm going to really regret saying this on the internet, I do love a bit of a dry hump. So I guess I
don't think that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I guess that if you count that as making out or not, like, does the action of dry humping stop it being just making out?
Yeah, I would say yeah.
Do you think, but not like fully, just a bit of like, you know, when the pressure's there.
But that's not what these two are doing.
Yeah. It does remind me of like being around the bike sheds.
Yeah. And the thing is, teenagers, I do remember being a teenager. You 100% did do that before you had sex, and like you just did. I do know it's a thing. I just don't think even the Capitol buying into this star-crossed lovers story would air that for 10 minutes.
No.
A minute, a singular minute, maybe 2.
Yeah. So they make out for 10 minutes. Caesar tries to interrupt, and Peeta just pushes him, like without breaking, just push.
Funny.
Oh,
Peeta is brilliant.
Not only funny, sexy. That is so fucking hot. That would work on me 100%. Holy fuck, that is sexy. Just like the shove it 10 out of 10, no notes.
So Haymitch shoves them apart, which absolutely love Haymitch. Like,
slay.
Brilliant.
And also, like, yeah, I can imagine Haymitch. This is the thing. Okay, maybe this is how they did air it for 10 minutes. You have to think about Haymitch's reaction in these 10 minutes.
And Effie's.
And
maybe they're coming to everyone. Cinna, Portia.
But like, no, because I don't think anyone's reactions would be as good. Like, everyone else would just be like excited, cute, blah, blah. Haymitch would be stomping about in the background, gesturing, being like, ew, being like,
someone bring me a drink, taking like, a shot.
Like, yeah, this is the thing. Like, there's been a proper like Benny Hill moment of them making out. Haymitch in the background just going like full pantomime, like, fuck's sake, break them up, like. Yeah. Like when they first start kissing, like eye roll, and then turns into like gagging. Like,
also, this is where when Katniss, you know, in book 2, I can't remember fully what happens, but when she says to Gale, it was all for the cameras. I bet Gale's sitting there like, I mandatory had to watch the 10-minute makeout session. The 10 minutes.
At this point, Gale's poor family need to move. They don't have any internal walls in their house. Gale has punched so many walls into their halls. They've now got an open plan, like, house.
But I don't think Gale has a TV. I think he's in the scene watching this. So
No. They are in the house. He is demolishing the house. At this point, Gale has taken down a load-bearing wall. The structural integrity of their house is completely fucked. They need to move.
I just imagine he's actually in the hob watching it, and everyone else is just sitting there like side-eyeing him while he is just like just beating up a wall in the background.
He looks like he's in like an 80s training montage.
And then she goes back and goes, it was all for the camera. Moving on from the 10 minutes of kissing, they've built them a special sofa, a special little love seat. And if we're talking about ridiculous time, turns out what they're here to do is watch a 3-hour highlights video of the games. And I thought, oh, okay, 3 hours, including that like beginning bit where Haymitch comes out and the make out and like the wrap up bit. No. It specifically says the highlight video is 3 hours long.
I need to know,
I would need to piss.
In terms of the programming, had they scheduled for the 10-minute make out?
Yeah. Had they scheduled for the 10-minute makeout? Is there a piss break in the middle? Like, I just have a lot of questions. And also, just from a TV perspective, I'm not sure I don't think that's good TV. I'm unsure, Suzanne, if that's good TV.
Yeah. But yeah, so they have to watch this 3-hour recap, and it shows like, and Katniss is like, at first she's like, Peeta is coming off way better than her. It shows how he misled the careers about her, which is interesting because we had that conversation about being like, we don't really know what Peeta, but yeah, I'm like, was he like fully saying to them when they were like, how did she get the 11? Was he being like, oh, she's really good with the sword? Like,
yeah,
I think that might be the implication, that he was straight up telling lies about her skill set. Interesting. How he stayed awake under the tree that night, how he fought Kato for her, how he was whispering her name in his sleep. Crazy. Like, that's you don't actually do that, surely.
This boy is down bad. Like,
or was he putting it on for the cameras?
He's that smart. I think he could have
I think
been.
he might be. Yeah, so yeah, and then she realizes that eventually she starts to redeem herself. Basically, the minute it's announced that they can win in a pair, and she yells out his name, from then on she starts to come off far better.
Yeah.
You know, she saves him and everything. She goes to the cornucopia for him. So she's like, okay, phew, thank God. And then she says that the best thing that the game makers ever did for her was ending the 3 hours on the shot of her like hammering against the wall, screaming his name, trying to get in when they were doing surgery on him. And she's like, thank God, because nothing could have sold the whole crazy in love more than that.
Yeah, and she's like, if it ended on the berries, it would have looked more like rebellion. She also says about the whole 3-hour thing, she's been made to watch it every time because it's mandatory viewing. And she says, like, this one is very interesting. It's got a lot less death and other things going on because for the first time ever, the Capitol have a love story to sell. And they're clearly very excited about that. So the editing is very different.
It's so interesting. Do you think if the Hunger Games hadn't ended, future tributes would have tried to sell a romance?
Yeah. 100%.
I think so.
Yeah, you try to do the things in other... Yeah, 100%. Katniss and Peeta don't get a chance to talk, so they're whisked straight from that. There's not an interview afterwards because the interview's the next day. They're whisked straight from that to a party in President Snow's mansion where they are just like taking photos all night, talking to people all night. They don't get a chance to talk. Then Haymitch basically acts as their like... chaperone, which like makes sense because if he was going off the, I mean, he's doing it for a different reason, but if he was going off the 10-minute makeout session, he's probably worried yeah, exactly. So Haymitch like escorts her to bed, but Katniss is locked in her room at night, and she actually suspects it's not Haymitch's doing. She kind of suspects it's the Capitol's doing, and it really freaks her out. Then the next morning, she still doesn't get to see him. The prep team fully get her ready for the interview, and she doesn't get to see him until she arrives in the lounge to do the interview, and they have like 1 to 2 minutes to talk before the cameras begin rolling. Peeta has also noticed they're being kept apart and says, and then we get a line which I'm like, Suzanne, you're bordering into like a romantasy here. He's like, well, Haymitch can't watch us once we get home, and Katniss feels a shiver. Sexy. They're 16. So they have the interview with Flickerman, and Flickerman is helping them out a lot. Like a lot. And we never really learn from the book's perspective, like, does Flickerman know he's helping them out massively, or is this just him being a very good interviewer and wanting the best out of them? But in terms of them helping them out, he's already got this amazing rapport with Peeta, which he really hams up. But Flickerman is the one to feed her the line that he basically asks, he's like, oh, so we heard Peeta was in love with you since you were 5. When did you realize you were in love with him? And Katniss kind of flounders, and then Flickerman feeds her the line. He was like, oh, from my perspective, it was the moment you shouted his name when it was announced that you could both win. And she latches onto that. She's like, yeah, I guess it was then. I'd been ignoring my feelings before that because we both couldn't win, but I knew I'd get to keep him once that happened.
Well, she's like, not I knew, but she's like, he kind of follows up and was like, how does that make you feel? And she's like, no, he's like, what were you thinking in that moment? And she's like, that maybe I could keep him. And it is, I mean, it's really cheesy, but it is adorable. And I think it's that moment where she sees Haymitch, I think he like gives her like a nod, like, that was good.
I do find it very interesting, the positioning that, like, again, Cinna has dressed her really, really young, and the act she's doing for Overly in Love is very, like, girlish. She's, like, hiding her face in Peter's chest and, like, constantly, like, I basically kept thinking of, like, she's being, like, a baby girl in the same way. All I could think of was how Ariana has baby girled herself for the interviews to play Glinda. Like, Ariana was, like, totally different in interviews 4 years ago and has almost redone her own personality to fit the marketing for Glinda, which, like, I'm not going to go into how people feel about that. That's not what this is about. But also, that's what I could compare it to in this moment.
Yeah, but also not only the marketing of Glinda, but she's also gone from, as people call her, Blackiana, where she was trying to be black and fake tan herself black and using more, like, black language, to now she's trying to be Asian, and it's really weird. Like, she's doing her makeup in a way that, like, makes her eyes, I guess, look more slanted, for lack of a better way to say it.
Yeah.
She's talking in a bit more of like a high pitch, and people are saying it's really weird. Sorry, this is just turning into an Ariana Grande criticism podcast, but the way that she's gone from, like, cosplaying one ethnicity to, like, another.
Yeah, to suit roles, to suit, like, work she is doing, like, and
but
what
also
fits the
I think
branding
but
for that.
I don't think that, like, it is. I think it's more about her own weirdness, which absolutely comes from, like, her trauma, but she's still a weird fucking person. Like, you can't just switch, like, what ethnicity you want to imitate based on, like, what is trending at the time.
She can, but yeah, that was the comparison I was thinking of with Katniss, because Katniss is, like, not a girly girl. Katniss is, like, her shyness in interviews doesn't come from her being, like, girly, like, ooh. It comes from the fact she's not used to talking about herself or cameras and things like that. But she is, like, headstrong, has much more masculine energy, but the only way they can sell this, I just find it interesting, the only way they can sell this love story, this over-the-top head over heels in love, is to really girlify her and baby girl her as well. Like, she's coming across as young and shy and girlish.
I mean, they're weaponizing the Capital's own misogyny, essentially. Like, they're trying to make her seem more harmless because she's just a girl, which is such a leap in faith when you think about the fact that they've just seen her be, like, sorry, for lack of a better phrase, a lethal weapon for the past God knows how many weeks. Like, the things that they've seen her do, the impressive feats of not only violence, but also healing and intelligence and strategy. And then to be like, she's just a girl.
She's just a
Just
girl.
a girl.
She's just a girl.
Like, come on. Like, it is the only thing they could possibly go for, but also no one's gonna buy that.
Yeah.
So,
interview. Oh, sorry, you go.
Yeah, so she finds out about his leg and the fact that he's now an amputee. She feels really guilty, but what I love, and she does start to well up, but then she realizes that, because I don't think she's actually gonna fully cry, but she does realize that the fact that she's welled up means that she can now just hide in his shirt for a while. So she just hides in his shirt because she's like, oh, it will look like I'm crying. So I think she's just, like, there with her head against his chest, just chilling out,
hiding in
just
his
having
armpit.
some time away from the camera.
Good for her. I had kind of forgotten that Peeta loses his leg, because that doesn't happen in the film. They don't do that. I'm now like, hold on, he went into the next Hunger Games with a prosthetic leg,
which makes the swimming part even more impressive.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
like, absolutely crazy. It also, does the text say whether it's above the knee or below the knee? Because, like, big difference.
I'm not sure. It hasn't so far, but maybe it does in the next book.
I was just like, I did know back in my mind that this was going to happen, but I was like, holy shit, he's lost his leg.
You know what, this whole thing with like him losing her leg, and there's
Him
like
losing
a
leg.
him losing his leg,
Yeah.
like essentially because of the tourniquet that Katniss did, and the fact that like, I guess there's another world where her or him could have blamed her for him losing his leg.
Sure.
Do you know what that reminds me of?
No.
Really, a couple having weird, horrible beef because someone loses their leg and blames the other.
Massive here.
Grey's Anatomy.
Oh my god, with Arizona and Callie.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was the weirdest fucking drama
I
ever.
hated them so much.
What do you mean, Callie? Like, no, Arizona, what the fuck? Did you want to die? Like, did you want to fucking die?
Yeah, sorry for anyone not Grey's Anatomy fans, but yeah, this is really giving that to me. Luckily, they absolutely never have any beef about it, but it gave me PTSD because I hated that storyline.
I think I had blocked that one out.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I thought you were going to get that immediately.
Block that bit out. So she manages. The big question finally comes. Flickerman says, and the trick, and he asks it to Katniss. So already the narrative has become, it was Katniss's idea. Katniss did it. He asks, so the thing with the berries, why did you do it? And she thinks in her head, oh my god, I need to do a big speech. But actually, she's so nervous. What comes out is this just like one liner being like, I couldn't be without him. But that's actually the best she could have done because it sounds a lot more realistic than like some pre-rehearsed speech. They go straight from the interview to the train. Not one more night's of sleep, not one more meal. Get on the train. You are going home. Which like they want to do. So fine. I just find it funny. It's like, okay, bye-bye. Off we go.
Yeah.
On the train. And she changes back into her plain clothes. She takes her makeup off and puts her hair in a braid. And by the time when she does that, she then goes back to sitting in the lounge with the two guys. And she sits back down next to Peeta and he puts his arm around her. And she says the arm around her feels alien. Now she's dressed like herself again.
Yeah, because there's like a great line when she's like removing all her makeup and stuff. And she feels like she's transforming back into Katniss Everdeen, back into herself. So yeah, I think it's the symbolism of her looking like herself as well as the moving more towards 12 that she's then like, how do I reconcile the person that I was, the person that I pretended to be in the Hunger Games, and the person that I am now?
Yeah.
And like I said before, she just needs time to work that out.
Yeah.
But understandably, because she's very traumatized.
Yeah.
That like she doesn't effectively communicate that. And I think one of the things that I think does save this like miscommunication trope that starts here and continues into the next book, that I find it a little bit frustrating, but not entirely, is that there is a reason.
Yeah.
They are both very young.
Yeah.
And very traumatized and dealing with such an extreme scenario that it doesn't annoy me too much, the fact that neither of them effectively communicate.
No.
I think why I typically hate the miscommunication trope is because there's never a reason for it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like 90% of the time it's done, it's just people, they could have a 5-minute conversation that would sort it out, and they just don't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you've got to give a reason why. So I at least appreciate that there is a reason in this that stops it being so irritating, but also it still is a bit irritating.
Yeah, it makes it more horrific to read because you can understand, rather than getting frustrated at the text, you're just like, no, like watching a car crash in slow motion. Because Peeta's arm feels alien and she's thinking about 12 and she's thinking about how she feels a bit more like herself and what that means. She thinks about Gale, and then she's like, what would Gale think of all this? Not what would Gale, what is Gale going to think of all this? I'm going to be home in a few hours and have to face him. And she's just like, what do I think about Gale? And she's panicking, and she's still panicking when the train stops to refuel.
She thinks to herself that she feels like she's being lying to two people that trust her. And I didn't write down the exact line, and I wish I had now, because it's phrased really interestingly, where it does say that she feels like she's been lying to the both of them, but it's kind of done in an open-ended way where it's like, but which one does she have feelings for? Like, yeah, she's been lying to both of them, but she could have been lying to both of them. She could have been lying to Peeta about having feelings for Peeta that she does or that she doesn't, and about Gale, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, she's been lying to both of them, but what are the lies that she's been telling to who? because it could go either way. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they stop to refill and they go for a little walk, and she's just starting to go to like a dark place. Peter's holding her hand and she's like, oh my God, like we're still doing this. And he picks her flowers and she's like, they're not even flowers, they're fucking onions, and I can't tell him. Like I felt so bad for her, because I think we've all, you know, like we've all had that thing where you doubt a relationship, especially when you're young, and you're like, I'm not with the right person. Oh my God, what am I doing? Do I love them? Do I like them? Do I even love them? Like blah, 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 blah. And your mind just starts going, and that's what's like, it was just really horrible to read. Hamish then comes up to them, and this bit I find fascinating, and he says, good job, guys. Remember to keep it up in 12 until the cameras are gone. Now, Hamish knows that Peter has never been faking it. So he does this to release Katniss from the obligation of lying.
Yeah, but I also think this is kind of like a mercy kill for Peter. Like,
yeah,
I viewed this as more of Hamish doing something, but I think it is both. But I think my brain went, this is Hamish doing Peter a solid. It is both, but I think
he's not implicit in the lie.
No, so he's giving Peter a heads up that this isn't as real as he thinks it is.
Yeah.
But I think both true. I think he's doing it for both of them. He's freeing Katniss from obligation and he's giving Peter a heads up. But I think that's what's great about it. You've interpreted it as for Katniss. I've interpreted it as for Peter.
But it's a brave move, because if he hadn't done this, it would have carried on for longer and Katniss would have... But if he hadn't done this, would Katniss have more naturally said, I need more time? Or was it the right thing to do? Would the fallout would have been worse if he didn't do this?
I don't think Katniss ever would have been forthcoming in the way that she feels or doesn't feel.
Yeah.
So they start to have like a bit of a conversation where Peter basically is like, oh, and he basically verbalizes as he works out what was going on. He's like, oh, like it was for the cameras, like, you know, I've been a fool, whatever.
Okay.
And she, rather than being like explicitly saying it wasn't entirely for the cameras, but she does say something about, you know, the closer to District 12 we get, the more confused I get, which isn't clear enough.
No, it's not. I also think his leap is too leapy. I think Suzanne was rushing a bit here. So he's like, what did Hamish just mean? And Katniss is like, oh, the Capitol realised it looked like a rebellion. And he's like, why wasn't I told? And she was like, because you didn't need to act. You had the whole crazy in love thing on board already, whether you were acting or not. And he was like, so you were acting to keep us alive after the games? And she's like, Hamish was coaching me. And he then makes the leap of, was he coaching you the entire time in the games? And she says, no, I couldn't talk to him in there. And he says, but you were performing what you thought he wanted to see. And I just think that's a bit of a leap from the after games behavior to the in games behavior from Peter. Like, I think those two things can be viewed as separate, like the berries thing being viewed as an act of rebellion and therefore needing to act a certain way post games doesn't necessarily mean she was faking everything in the games.
Yeah, it's slightly leapy, but I do think that Peter's very like good with people and emotionally intelligent, so I think he sees, I think once there's a slight implication, he does work out what's going on. I think that as well, his reaction, it maybe seems like this is a separate thing, but I think he does react quite extremely. But I think it's heartbreaking the way that he reacts, and it makes sense because one, again, he's like also really traumatized, so he's probably not going to be thinking the most rationally. And I do think that at the end of the day, yeah, he is really emotionally intelligent, but he's still a teenage boy, a traumatized teenage boy who has just repeatedly declared his genuine love and affection and feelings on camera in front of, as far as he's aware, like the entire world. Like, you know, it's not the entire world, it's just Panem, but that's all that exists to him, in front of everyone, literally everyone, because everyone has had to watch it, and he's gone all in and he's thought it's real. And then, so no wonder at the first implication that it's not real, that he just completely is mortified, heartbroken, humiliated. Like, I feel like genuinely like heartbreaking, like gut-wrenching horrendous for Peter in this moment. Like, no wonder he's just like completely backs off and is heartbroken, because this must be so embarrassing and devastating. And I also think as well that Peter is a nice person, and he will be thinking, if she doesn't want this, then I don't want this, and he probably feels guilty as well about the way that he's treated her if it wasn't real. And like in this moment, you want Peter to stop her, you want Katniss to stop him and say, I just need more time, like I'm confused, like there's feelings, but I need more time to work out what was in the games and what wasn't, and we need to slow down and get to know each other outside of the games, which is all very valid. But she doesn't, again, because she's not good with people, and she is young and inexperienced and traumatized. So all she really says is, the closer we get to District 12, the more confused I get. And he goes, well, let me know when you work it out. And it says that the pain in his voice is palpable. I'm just, oh my God, Peter, my baby boy, I just want to protect him so hard, because I'm just like, just say time. And his reaction did annoy me, because I was like, Peter, like, it's obvious that it's not all faked, you know that, but obviously he's super traumatized. But I understand I understand it all, and it's really well written. And then we go into this horrible internal monologue from Katniss, where she knows she isn't totally sure whether she loves him or not, but she's saying, well, maybe it's for the best, because even if I did love him, he's not going to want the same things as me, because I know that I'm not going to get married and not going to have kids. And to be honest, I don't really trust him if he would want kids in this world, because that's fucking weird. So what's the point in being in love anyway if we can't do the family thing that in love people do? And I'm just like, great, just twist the fucking knife in with like this own self-deprecating thing of like, well, he wouldn't, there's no point me loving him loving me anyway, because I'm fucked up and the world's fucked up. Yeah. It is quite a leap from her though to just assume he would want kids.
Oh, like,
babe, have that conversation.
I know.
Also, you're 17. You don't need to worry about, like, you can date. Like, it doesn't have to be children.
10-minute makeout, 2 children. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Then, because they spend the next few hours apart while she's having this internal monologue of like, well, there's no point in loving me, she misses him already. Because she loves him.
Mm-hmm.
So she thinks that she misses him already, but they pull into 12 and he walks up to her and he offers her his hand and says, one last time for the cameras. And she takes his hand and worries that one day very soon she's gonna have to let go of it. That was evil, Suzanne.
Yeah.
You were meant to end your YA book on a slightly positive note. And instead, I want to stare at a wall in silence for 3 hours.
Well, you can. You can go home and do that.
I think I finished this book the first time around when I was like 10, 11. No, this book came out when I was 14. I'm lying. Feeling like, yeah, that was like a good ending. They both lived. And as an adult, I'm like, wow, that was a horrible ending, Suzanne. I feel deeply traumatized.
I do just wish I could wipe my mind and go back and not know, because you would just be finishing this going, what the fuck is going to happen next? What the fuck could the next 2 books be about?
All I'm thinking about is the fact that, as far as I can remember, and I actually know I'm right about this, these 2 never, at any point in the 3 books, get to spend just any time together as a couple.
Yeah.
Like, they're in this weird place when book 2 begins. She finally realizes she's in love with him halfway through book 2, but they're in the games. He gets captured at the end of book 2. By the time he gets back to her in book 3, he's had the tracker jacker, and that's until the end of book 3.
Yeah.
They never just get any time together.
And then imagine if it's one of those things where they like got out of all of that and it was done and they were free, and then they just were like,
not feeling it anymore.
I actually don't have anything in common.
Yeah.
The thing is, actually, like, Peter and Katniss are one of the romances that I don't feel that way about. Like, there are some where you're like, you actually don't have a conversation outside of the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
And therefore, do you actually get along? But I do think whilst, they never have any time that's like not in the games or not in wartime, we do at least still see them sharing a sense of humour and values. So it feels like, they are a natural couple. Whereas sometimes, like, you're really just like, no, you've trauma bonded and there's nothing else there.
Yeah. And also, like, as we were saying throughout the books, their banter back and forth was better than a lot of like adult romances we've read, which is like, very impressive. Like, I do really believe in them as a couple, but I just want a chapter where they can be like that. But no, Suzanne, don't worry about it. Done.
Wow, we've reread a book.
We reread a book.
And it took us 9 months.
That's quite long. It's not the greatest time scale.
No, for a short YA book. It was so good. I loved it. I love it so much. Like, so much. I think we wanted to do this podcast because we love it. And I think this podcast is only making me more like, I fucking treasure it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I think, I had started to just put it in this like bracket of a lot of other YA fiction at the time because we were in the YA boom at the time. And I was just like, it was like a bit better than like Divergent and all that, but not that much better. And now I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. And this is why this is the one that's still getting books printed and getting new films made, because this shit is actually amazing.
Yeah, it's so good. 10 out of 10. No notes.
Thanks for listening to this first book. Season.
Oh shit, yeah, it's the end of the season.
Cheers. We're not doing any of the others.
We are. We will be back for book 2. We cannot wait to see you there.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Let us know any episodes you want to see though outside of the Hunger Games, because we will be doing book 2 and 3, but hopefully by the time we start book 2 we will have finished our other podcast, Goblet of Wine, and therefore we will have more time and headspace to think of episodes that aren't just like the Hunger Games. So let us know what you would want those to be and any ideas you have and things I've seen a few comments come in, but just like use the comment section to say some ideas, because like we're very open to what you guys want to see.
Yes, but I will say we're not doing Twilight.
No.
We're not doing ACOTAR.
No.
Sorry guys. We love them both. We're not doing it.
There's so many other podcasts that do such a good job.
Yeah.
Go do those.
Yeah. But and not just books, but any, if you want, not just us talking about a particular book or series, but any just more general bookish episodes. Let us know, like how we did our yearly Wrapped, if you want anything more like that.
Or like if you're like, oh, do this genre and pick like 2 or 3 books in the genre, or like, I don't know, just sound off some ideas.
Let us know. We love the sound of our own voices, basically.
And our own opinions, because they are the only correct opinions.
Oh, they are. And I've always said that.
Yep. And on that note, goodbye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Drunk Girls Who Read, a podcast by Goblet of Wine Productions.
If you'd like to follow us around the internet, you can find our social media links in the description.
Or if you'd like to support us further, you can find us on Patreon, where you'll get access to bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes content.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye!